Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist and I own 52 units of real estate. So I self-manage a lot of my single family rentals that I own in California. And to be honest, I'm not the greatest at raising rents on these units because I self-manage them. It's been the same tenants. They've been great. They pay on time. They take care of the property. And it's a two-way relationship. If there's issues with the house, I'm typically fast to respond to get issues resolved. So I always see it as a two-way street. So a lot of the tenants that I have are the original tenants, and what I try to do with my single family homes is I want to be below market rents, but not too far below in the sense of I'm not optimizing my investment, but I always like to be a little bit under, at least by about 8 to 10% under the market, just so that I know that the tenants know that that they're still getting a good deal, but also I'm within striking distance of market rent. And why I like to be about between 8 to 10% is California is a rent controlled state. So typically you can Google it, but you're able to raise about maybe 8 to 9% in rent depending on the county and depending on what the state determines, right? So it just may vary, but it's about 8 to 9%. And luckily for these single family homes, I locked in low interest rates on these deals. During COVID, obviously you refinanced it. I refinanced it, so I have a lower cost basis. But a lot of the homes have HOAs, unfortunately, and every year, if it's a smaller HOA, it goes up every year. Like the HOA for my first property goes up by about $100 every year, and they have special assessments when they need to repave the roads because it's a private road. If they need to install speed bumps, if they want to install a gate, just maintenance of the the common area. So got hit with a $2,500 a year special assessment, which comes up to be another $200 a month. So for me, I'm just raising the rents just to be able to kind of break even in my mind, because HOA went up, there's a special assessment, and my property or the insurance is going up because insurers are pulling out of California due to the risk of fires, due to the risk of earthquake. Just a lot of insurers are pulling away, so you have limited options, and as a result they monopolize the insurance, so you're stuck and the prices always increase. So I typically will assess my lease agreements and the rents every 2 years. So this is 2025. I did it in 2023. So now I'm going to do it again in 2025. So my first property is in Livermore, California. Current rents are about $3,900. And unfortunately, Livermore, this property has had really great appreciation, but for some reason the rents haven't been that great. It's more of like a homeowners area, and it's next to Dublin. It's Dublin's very expensive. Maybe I'm just ignorant, but I'm looking on Zillow, right? So when I compare my rental unit, I'll look on Zillow and I'll just look at, okay, it's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. So I'll kind of filter on Zillow for rent, 4-bedroom, 3-bath. It's a single family home, and like, what do the rents look like? And I was kind of seeing that the rents were kind of around like $4,400 right now for a similar property. So I'm at $3,900, so about $500 under. So I just thought, okay, if I raise it by $200, I'm at $4,100 dollars. So still about $200-$300 below market rent, right? So it gives me that margin there, and it just helps cover my HOA, to be honest, and the increased cost of insurance and the special assessment. And so just text it the tenant, and hopefully he agrees. And I can't imagine not, because they're gonna look the same thing on Zillow, and they're gonna see that what I see, it's gonna be about $4,400 a month, and the cost of moving is expensive, right? To move all your furniture and to uproot all of that. So that's the first property. My second property is so I have a duplex in San Francisco. So the bottom tenant tends to turn over more, so every time they turn over, I typically will raise the rents if it makes sense. But the upper tenant has been Section 8, and she's been with me since 2019, so for the past 5 years, and I haven't raised the rents at all. So it's been about $4,500 a month, which includes all utilities, so includes water, gas, electricity, sewage, all that, because it's a makeshift duplex and it's not separately metered. So, I'm covering the cost of it. So, back in 2019, I signed the Section 8 SF Housing Authority agreement, and we agreed upon $4,500 a month for a 3-bedroom house. It's a 1.5 bath. And what's nice about Section 8 is that they auto pay every month, right? So every month on the first, I literally get I think out of 4,500, 4,300 direct deposit to my account, and then the tenant's responsible for $200 a month, which is about 5% of the total rents. So that's crazy. She's paying $200 a month, and that includes her utilities. Just the utilities alone, I'm paying just the water bill alone. It's $500. Split between two. That's already $250 each. But every year, the housing authority, they will reassess the market rents for a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, and so on. And it changes every year. Some years it goes up, some years it goes down. And I haven't looked at this in 5 years because, so this year I looked at it for 2024. Looks like for a 3-bedroom, I could get $5,100. So I'm at $4,500, including utilities. So I can get $5,100, not including utilities. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, there's some margin here, right? And then, but for 2025, I just looked at those numbers, it lowered to 5,000. So, anyways, it's 5,000, let's just say, and I'm at 4,500, and I include all utilities. So when you do Section 8, you have to submit a rent increase form and to the housing authority, and basically you'll put your tenant's information, their voucher number, your information, what was your current rent. So my current rent's 4,500, including utilities, and what's the proposed rent. So I'm proposing 5,100, and it's gonna ask me what utilities do I cover. So I cover all utilities. So I cover the gas, the water, electricity, trash, sewer, fridge, microwave, stove, all that stuff, right? Washer, dryer, it's all included. So I set that, and then basically at that point, I notify them, and then they will then notify the tenant, right? So what they do first is, with me, either they can reject my offer and just say no. They're gonna do a market analysis, right, to see what the rents are in that area, and it's public information. So I just put it at 5,100, knowing that their max is 5,100, and they might negotiate me down, which is fine, right? For me, I just want to raise it to not be so far below market, right? So if we agree upon 4,700, 4,800, 4,900, 5,000, whatever, I'll take it. I'll take any increase, right? But it's a double-edged sword, because when you submit this increase, they can deny your request, right? They could accept your request. They could negotiate something in the middle, or they can actually lower what you're currently getting. So by submitting this rent increase form, if they find out in the research that the market rent is 4,300, but I'm getting 4,500, they might lower me too. So that's to dissuade you, right? But because I saw that it's 5,000 right now, and that's not including utilities. I include utilities. I think it's reasonable for me to ask. So, obviously they'll probably call me, and, we'll probably negotiate, but it's fine. I'm flexible. I'm asking for 600 more. But if they give me 300 more, 400 more, great, that's happy. So if we agree upon something, then they're going to notify the tenant and ask them, say, hey, can you validate that indeed the landlord does cover all the utilities, right, that he specified? And if so, and then basically for her, she has to then pay, 5% of the increase in rent. But if you kind of do the math, right, let's say I do get what I want of 5,100, which is $600 more. That's, if you take 5% of $600, she's paying an additional $30 a month, right? So which is very little, right? So that's why what's nice about Section 8 is that you're not gouging the tenant, because the tenant only pays 5% of the total rent. So it's mostly the housing authority that's paying the majority. So for her, it's minimal impact. It's $30. That's going to movies for two. It's $30 now. So, but basically she has to agree to it. So it's kind of nice. I haven't been on top of it, to be honest, for that one. So if I get what I want, my Livermore property, I'll get $200 more. And this property, let's say, best case scenario, I get $600. And then for my property I own in Orange County, the tenant wants to sign a 4-year lease. Ideally, or they said 2, 3, or 4-year lease. So I prefer a longer lease. They've been great tenants as well. Take care of the property. They pay on time. So I am basically charging $3,700 right now, which is break even, despite me self-managing it. I'm negative if I have a maintenance issue. But that one's been pretty, relatively speaking, low maintenance. And I searched on Zillow, and the market rent is around $4,300. So I'm about $600 under per month, which is too much, right? So what I messaged them said, hey, like I actually want to do a 4-year contract because it's a win-win for me, right? Because I want a long-term tenant who's great, and then they want to be there. So great, right? Like I'm giving a 4-year contract. There's trust, right? And they've been with me for 4 years already. And I just said, okay, well, I tell them the market rent right now, it's $4,300 today, right? But since you've been great tenants, you've been paying on time, I'm gonna make it for 2 years. It's gonna be a 4-year lease. For the first 2 years, it's gonna be increased from $3,700 by $300 to $4,000, right? So now they're paying $4,000 a month for the next 2 years. And then so from 2025 to 2027, it's $4,000. And then from 2027 to 2029, it's gonna be raised another $300 to $4,300 a month, right? So literally, I'm giving them the market rents that are for today. They're gonna pay that in 2 more years. So they see the margin, right? And I still get the stability. And now at $4,000 a month, I'm cash flowing $3,000 or $300 a month. Well, but really just for the maintenance, right? And then another 2 years, I'll be making $600 a month in cash flow. And then at that point, I might have some actually positive cash flow that I can actually use, right? It's negligible. And then in 2019, when I'm 39, that's scary to say, I'm going to recess the market. But as the trends go, most likely, rents will be up from 4,300. So at that point, I'll recess again. And then, like I said, you just want to not be too far below market value. And then my property, if I compare it to the other property that was 4,300, it wasn't as nice. Like mine is newly renovated, and that one wasn't as nice. A little bit smaller, but mine is newly renovated. So for me, I was just like, I'd rather lock in long term, be a little bit under market rent, and then I can always increase it later. And for me, I think a 2-year increment raise is a little bit nicer because you kind of forget about it. But if you get it every year, it's like kind of traumatizing. But if it's every 2 years, like you kind of forgot about it, and then you kind of think like, oh yeah, like it makes sense. Like rents go up, everything gets more expensive. So that's why I give them that pivot point up front. Like, hey, I'm already $600 a month under, and right now it gets 4,300, but literally you're paying 4,300 in 2 years. Right? And then by the end of that contract, I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe it'll be like $5,000. I don't know. In which case, like I said, I always want to be like, 10%, 8 to 10% under market to have the stable tenants, especially if they're good. Because if you have vacancy and you have turnover, that's costing more money, right? If I'm vacant, I'm not going to get $4,000 a month, and also I have to fix up the property. So it's actually a win-win-win all around. If I can be below market rents, they get a good deal, I have a good tenant, and less turnover. So that's always kind of been my goal. So, draft up the amendment to the contract. So what I do is for my 2 tenants where I manage, I draft up. I usually text them like what I'm thinking and why, and then I'll email them the contract. And then for the Section 8, I just submit my notice to Section 8, and they'll probably reach out to me to either just agree, or maybe they'll call me to negotiate down. And in which case, I just would be like, well, like I can go down to 5,000 if that's reasonable. So from there, that's how you just negotiate, right? So, why I share this is you don't want to be way too below market rent. Like you always want to be within striking distance. Technically, you could raise rents about 8% every year, but I do it about every 2 years. So that's how I'm by nature of that, constantly going to be below market. Assuming that rents are going up and maintaining a steady pace every year. If rents go down, then obviously I would reassess and then maybe not raise it if it's gone down, or I'm at market rents already. Worst case, I just would maintain it as is. I wouldn't raise the rents at all. So with my apartment complex, my property managers manage that. So every time the lease is renewed every year, they do raise the rents, right? And that, as it's better for worse, it does create turnover. But it gives you opportunity to rent it at new rent. So, it's a fine balance of, keeping rents at market, but also not having turnover, because turnover has costs too. So anyways, hopefully you got some insight as to how I raise my rents on the properties I self-manage in California here. People do say it's rent controlled, but I can still raise rents by like 8-9% a year, which is a lot in my opinion. I do it about once every 2 years. So anyways, if you want to learn how to buy multifamily real estate with some guidance, check out the mentorship program. Otherwise, please like, comment, subscribe, and hope to see you next one. Thank you so much.